we'll just go ahead and start through here and introduce the team. If you've jumped in, you've kind of figured who everyone is. My camera is off because I'm having internet issues, so sorry about that. But I'm Grace, I'm the architect. Doug is representing Mighty House Construction, the contractor. Jay and Elizabeth are here as the homeowners, newly back in their house. They just moved back. It has been a couple, not quite a couple months.
2 months.
Yeah. Let's try to get this to move again. So why did they want to do this remodel? And this started as they were in the original house before the project was, 900 something square foot house, 4 people living in it, son and daughter sharing a bedroom, house, needing more space. So the basic things were needing at least another bedroom and another bathroom. So that was the very, very minimum of the project and what needed to happen. And then there were other. So this is the floor plan of the existing, what was the previous house. And the yellow space, the colored spaces are just where the impacted areas. So you can see sort of a living room, dining room, kitchen, kind of open plan in the front. You had 2 bedrooms and 1 little bathroom in the back, shared by all 4 people. And I just want to note that there's not even like a big sink with a cabinet and everything in there. There's no cabinet in the bathroom even. So I was personally amazed that they were all peacefully living in this house, sharing these spaces, but they did recognize that they needed more space. So just a reference point for where they started. Where we started on this. So this is a front and back of the house before the project. And you can see on the back side that there are no windows. There's just one little door going to this wonderful backyard. So from the front view, you can see all those tall trees in the back are actually the park behind the house. And so you had this wonderful green space and you had no visual, very little visual and physical connection to it. So that was one of the goals of the project. Besides just the bedrooms, needing another bedroom, they, needing some flexible space, which became apparent in this last year of COVID craziness and homeschooling and all of that, the need for separate spaces and places for people to go away to and get some bit of privacy was really, all of us found to be really necessary and apparent in our current lives. And, so then there was also the concern about doing a second floor. We decided, it does make sense to go up rather than out, even though there's all this space to expand outward. And a lot of people, this is the choice that they're trying to make is, do we go up or do we go out? And when you go up, you have the challenge of, well, you're going to tower over, shade the yard, all of those things. Does it feel imposing? When you go out, you're going to lose your yard. And so the idea was to preserve this yard and have all this great yard space, but then open up some of the inside. This is a shot of the inside and a view to the backyard, which you can barely see. And so the decision was made to go up.
I will say also that the area we're in has very long, skinny lots. So we already had a pretty long, skinny house. And so the only way to really expand would have been to make it go back even further or to be even closer on one side to our neighbors. So we didn't have a lot of flexibility side to side on the lot.
Yeah, so then going into the sort of what we create, what the design process involved. So the blue spaces are bedrooms and the yellow space is sort of circulation space. And so what you're seeing here is a floor plans, the first floor is on the bottom, second floor is on the top, and to the right is a section cut. So it's like cutting through the house, a cross section. And so on the bottom floor plan, you can see the sort of dashed lines in there. That's where the original walls were. And essentially we took one of the bedrooms, one of the things that people have, it's always surprising for a lot of people, is how much space stairs take. And so, you know, you can see the stairs there take up a good portion of that bedroom, the original bedroom. And so one bedroom became the stairs, that orange space, and then the rest of it became a laundry room. That's we'll mention a little later, and the uses for that room. And then the blue space, the bedroom stayed, but we opened it to the backyard. So there's a window now. There was a closet along the back. We opened it more with visually to the backyard. And that bedroom changed in proportion and shape a little bit to allow the hallway area, that open area from the kitchen, to be more wider. It almost doubled in width, and then you have double doors going out to the backyard. And then upstairs, you can see the footprint of the upstairs is not quite as big as the downstairs, and that was by intention. We kept trying to shrink it back until it was, everything was about at the minimum size it could be to function well and to feel comfortable. And the idea there is that area on the left side is the backyard. And if we had taken the full second story all the way to the left edge to the backyard, then in the backyard, when we were looking at it, it would feel really imposing. So the concern there was to have that backyard feeling not feel like your house is towering over you. And then on the right side, that the cross section, I just am showing that because to get the height of the whole addition down so that it didn't feel like this tall, imposing second floor, we use scissor trusses on the roof. So that allows your pitched roof, your typical gable roof, but then your ceilings inside are also vaulted and pitched. And you can see the space in there we have, and Doug will talk about this a little bit in a bit. We have lots of space for insulation. So these are called scissor trusses. Let's see here. Okay, and that is just a three-dimensional CAD model of the addition. You can see the front porch, and that little, the area with the shakes was the original entry, and that really did not change. We did have to reconstruct most of the roof, and then the addition was all above. And so this is just we went through many iterations of the possibilities here on the massing and looking at it and juggling all those things, views, windows, heights, head heights. And the idea was to keep a pitched roof to mimic the house character that was already there. Let's see. And then Doug, you maybe want to talk about some of the construction aspects.
To be. So you can kind of see a little bit of the floor plan, how that's laying out in there. What we're talking about a little earlier with the insulation is on that same picture on the outside of the wall, you can see that there's the trusses are of a higher point there. A lot of the truss companies like to make them come to a single narrow point, and that only allows for like maybe 4 inches of insulation, which makes a cold spot in the room. These, yes, they do cost a little more, and the truss companies say it's always more difficult to build, but it gives you a much higher R value and much more comfort to the house for it. Also with the truss system, all weight is transferred to the outside walls, and the floors, we had to use I-joists. And so all the interior walls of the current house don't have any weight being transferred to them except for 1 point load in the stairwell area. Just for the stairs themselves. But this way, it gave us the freedom to not have to sit there trying to tear apart the entire main floor of the house and then put in new foundations throughout all the basement for holding up the new floor. But so everything is being transferred to the outside of the house.
Yeah, and I'm just going back to that cross section that kind of, you can see a little bit of that where on the left and right side, those walls is what's carrying the weight of all of the addition, most of the addition anyway.
This is on the left picture here is just, we're starting on the siding, and the product we like to use is from Proclima, and we find it is a really good WRB system. The other thing that was entertaining on this particular wall is the original house actually had an addition out back, and they didn't line it up straight with the other house. And so when we're obviously doing a addition above everything, we want to make that as a straight wall the whole way down, which then didn't line up with the lower wall. So we had to fur out the whole original part of the house to create a straight line. Otherwise you'd see this kind of huge curve and oddball shape of the house. But then this is with all the siding, then all the new windows on this side of the house, even in the living room, on the main floor. So the main floor, we didn't change much of anything other than windows and just kind of that one wall in the bedroom, or reducing the bedroom in size. This is a wall system. We didn't quite use every element of this, but this is a typical wall system we like to do. Pointing out, like, the interior vapor barrier is this Intello, which is a great system for helping the walls breathe. So that way, if any moisture does make it into the wall, it still allows it to actually breathe out, but it still reduces the amount of moisture that can actually get into the wall. The other thing we didn't do is the Gutex rigid insulation on the outside. But this is a typical system that we try to do for most every home that we can fit it in. This is showing our HRV system. So this is an Intello, or blanking the name of it all of a sudden. Lunos, thank you. I was going on the other product. This is a air filtration system. There's kind of like 2 in each room, or 2 work in a pair, and there's like 4 pairs for doing the whole upstairs of this house. Since we're so airtight now with the system that we do, the house still needs to breathe. And these allow the air movement, which is, as one is blowing in, the other one on the other side of the room is blowing out. And about half hour later, they switch, and so they moves the air back and forth through the room, creating a much better circulation and making sure that the whole room circulates evenly without just creating a single, stream of air. These also have a MERV 16 filter system in it. That this is, we got the bigger filter for this one. These will really help, especially in our unfortunate climate now of more fires. During the summer, these will filter out a lot of that, all the particulates and that smell that's coming with it, but still gives you the fresh air you need, so you don't feel the need to open the window and then breathe all that horrible air in. The Solatube is in the hall. These are a really nice system to give you natural light without putting in a big skylight, because the skylights are a bad energy loss due to the fact that you have a huge pane of glass on your roof. But they also allow for light throughout the day, even throughout the night. They'll bring in light so you can be in that hall and in the middle of the night walk to the bathrooms and still have a little bit of natural light, even from street lights or moonlight. They also do have a light that's in it, that's on a switch, so that you can have a light that is working to switch this on and off during the night without having your whole ceiling being, Solatube, light, heat panels, all these other things that are going on with it.
Yeah, I'm going to note here also that these, I mean, like Doug said, they're great for interior spaces. I've used them in bathrooms that had no windows at all. And then once we put it in, everyone kept on reaching in to turn off the light because they thought the light was on constantly. So it was great. They never turned on the light again. So, but you also, because it's hard to turn them off, right? It's hard to turn the sunlight off. So I don't recommend putting these inside a room where someone might sleep, because it's like having a window you cannot close very well, even though they have some with the dampers on them. But anyway, the basic ones don't have that ability. And yeah, so that could be a problem for some people. And so that's why we specifically in this case put put this one sort of out. It's, you know, out sort of in the hallway, away from the, a little bit away from the bedroom doors, kind of split in between the bathroom and the bedroom doors, because it does bring in actually quite a bit of light. It looks just like a light is on.
One little note on that, we did want to shift it. They wanted to use the south side of the roof for solar. And so we didn't want any of our water pipe vents coming up through that side of the roof and the Solatube coming up through the south side, so they could maximize solar to be put on the roof. So we actually turned that within the space, and the actual top part is actually coming out on the north side of the roof. And the benefit of actually having it come out on the north side of the roof is kind of more even light during the really super bright sunny days. When it faces south, they have an intense light, and then as it goes down, so you get a bigger variation of light if they're facing on the south roof. On the north roof, it's a little more of an even consistency, so it's not super intense at various times of day. But for this particular case, it was mainly to get them to fill the entire south side of their house with solar. These are the heat panels or the heating system in there, and the one is still on the wall. That's the Lunos. That's the one of the pairs for venting the bedrooms. The infrared heat panels, the square ones on the left picture, are the systems that we used in the bedroom. And in the bathroom, we did use the Cove heater and the heat panels to try to kind of make even type of heat to balance the whole room out, because it is a vaulted ceiling, and we wanted to make sure that there's heat. There's also a heat panel on basically right above the camera in this picture. That way you have kind of an even heat throughout the bathroom. The nice thing with infrared heat systems, being that they heat like the sun, they'll heat the objects in the room, keeping the room really warm for a longer period of time, but they also heat up quickly. So 15, 20 minutes, you can heat a room. So this is the kind of system that you can turn on and off quickly and only heat as you're using it, and in preparation for that. And also you can control each room individually. That way, whoever is in each room, they get the type of heat they want. If they want a little warmer or a little cooler, you can control your heat system, which makes it much more energy efficient also.
Oops, sorry. I didn't mean to advance. So now let's just take a peek at, you know, what's the final result, and let's do a little bit of before and afters comparison. So on the left, you see the original before, and then on the right is what it looks like today, or at least a couple months ago. And so I think, Jay and Elizabeth, you actually said you had neighbors walking by and saying thank you, I think, for keeping the scale of the house down, right?
Yeah, people consistently say thank you for making it blend in so well with the neighborhood, because there are a lot of little one-story houses in our neighborhood. And then people also say thank you for it not being a big box, for maintaining the character of the original house, how well it all blends together.
Right. So yeah, and there was a lot of effort we put into tweaking it just right, making sure that, you know, how low could we make that roof? And at one point it was lower than sort of the generic, you know, the 5-foot mark. And if you do lower than that, like, you know, it's sort of mimicking the old houses where you're sort of carving into the attic space. but we didn't want it quite that low. If you've ever been in those spaces, you know that it gets really like awkward, like you can't really use that space below that 5-foot level. So we had to play with that, you know, how tall to make that, how short to make that. And I think where we ended up was a nice middle ground. The 5 feet is adequate to access things, to use that space fully. And we kept it down just enough. And your neighbors are always the greatest, your most honest critics. Looking at the backside. So remember we showed earlier this before photo of the, you know, the house. There's no windows. You know, there's this one door, and, you know, lovely backyard. There's a lot of space here. And now, you know, we added a window in that little bathroom too, and the French doors, and the window in that flex space, the what was one of the bedrooms. And where that window was where the closet was for that bedroom before. So moving that around was a big, kind of a big change. Then when you look on the inside, that same door area, so looking towards the back, on the left, you see how it was before. And then on the right, we almost doubled the hallway size. And you can actually see into the backyard. There's much more connection there. And then on the left, the 2 doors there are the 2 bedrooms. And on the right is now the 1 bedroom, that the further back bedroom. That has become a flex room. So in this last year, it's served very well, I hear, and currently, you know, for the whatever homework room, office room, you know, sit around and read room, whatever it is. And I wanted to point out that the door here is a pocket door. And in this case, a pocket door. So I wouldn't recommend a pocket door for rooms that you're going to open and close that door a lot, because pocket doors, it's just not handy. It's not easy to open that easily. But they're great for rooms like this, where the majority of the time this is functioning like a family room or a den, you know, an additional open living space. And then the pocket door allows it to be closed for the occasional need for some privacy or a guest staying overnight. Let's see, and then
I would add on this one that those double doors have been so nice, because even when we're in the front of the house, like where the kitchen table is, you can look back through and just so much light gets through to us. So the difference between the single door that had just the window on the top half and these double doors with full light is really made a remarkable difference for even the front of the house.
Yeah, and I want to point out for anyone who joined us just recent in the last few minutes, Jay and Elizabeth are the owners. Where they're sitting right now is in their dining room, and you can see between them right now in the camera the double doors. So, and before that would have been, if we were looking at them, that would have been just a dark place sort of back there. So yeah, a very different character. Also wanted to point out the flooring that you see back here was an existing flooring. It looks so nice and new. The craftsmanship of piecing together and patching in the flooring was great. I think we used some of the leftover boards, right? And then we salvaged some from some of the places that we removed them from.
Yeah, they managed to keep some from when they originally did it. So they had extra pieces, which was very lucky for us, because this particular floor nobody makes anymore. But so we had to go in surgically and remove exactly every board we needed moved, so that we can save it and not destroy any board. So it just took a little bit of time to make sure everything came up perfectly for the floor. And then we did end up refinishing the whole floor throughout that section, just to give it a good even finish on it, due to once we put it in, you couldn't just patch a single little spot of the finishing, but that whole area was then refinished for the back room.
And what I thought was also clever is that you pulled out flooring from the closet in that office bedroom down there and put cork in there, which then gave you enough extra wood to patch, right?
Yeah, there's just a couple little pieces left. So as you know, it was very tight, and it was hard because we were hoping to find some from a supplier, just emergency, but every supplier says they do not do this floor anymore. I think they've been having issues with its consistency of how well it's performing over time or something, or cupping or the shrinking issues, but the manufacturers just decided to not make it anymore.
Yeah, so this is kind of a thing to note if you're planning a remodel. I mean, we specifically looked at this. You know, when you're looking at the budget, a lot of things can come up in a remodel situation, and you want to try to anticipate them as much as possible. And so we actually had looked at, you know, we looked at when we were changing the bedroom and moving the wall, we realized we're going to have to patch. So we started calculating how many boards, how many square feet can we take from this spot and then patch it in this spot? How many extra boards are there? Knowing that there was a small chance that when we ripped up some, that maybe we'd have some breakage or something like that. And so there was this, you know, knowing that, you know, there's this teeny chance that we might have to replace more than we want back here, you know, that might add to the budget, but we had strategized a way to avoid it. And luckily, you know, not every plan always works, but you know, hope for the best, plan for the worst. And so we had braced ourselves for the fact that it might not work, but we planned and we did everything we could to make sure that, you know, we could succeed. And we were able to, which, and so if you can plan for those kinds of things in a remodel, it helps you avoid some of those surprises for increased scope. And then this is another before and after. So before the laundry, and this was another sort of, you know, it wasn't the primary goal of the project, but it was, you know, the laundry is like this, you know, you're in the way if somebody goes in and out of the door, you're trying to do laundry. It's kind of a congestion point. There's nowhere to put, you know, dirty clothes and clean clothes and all of that. So having the laundry become a part of that space of one of the bedrooms. So on the right, you can see now a very nice open space that the laundry is within. It's also a multi-use space. So similar to that bedroom that became sort of a den and flex room, this also has multiple uses. It's, you know, you can see the food storage in there. It's pantry. There's space underneath the stairs. You can sort of see on the right that is also storage, and there's light in there. So there's just lots of storage. You can put a lot in there where there wasn't any storage before. And another look at that further back. I wanted to point out on this the stairs going up. So there are different ways that you can do stairs, and one of the things we you know, kind of got challenged with during the design process is trying to figure out how open do you want the stairs. And so open spaces versus closed spaces in the design process, it's good to know and understand what your needs really are. Because in this case, we wanted it to be open, but then realizing that the stairs were going to be right next to the kitchen and bedrooms and people sleeping above, and there'd be noise. So trying to get that balance of open, but still not so direct of a sound kind of transmission going up was what we were trying to do. And that way, so in this case, we have stairs with a window there, so you can see this light coming through, and then kind of open landing space above before you get to the bedroom doors. And so that kind of helps mitigate some of that. Let's see. And this is the top of the stairs looking down. Let's see, go on. And then this is just some of the finished pictures of the bedrooms. You can see the one large dormer here. You can see, you saw the picture before of the little Lunos ventilation unit on the left above that window. The other one, you can't really see it. It's on the right picture, kind of below that little table desk towards that corner. And so that pair is what ventilates this room, provides the fresh air. And then another pair is in the other bedrooms, which we'll see in a moment here. So you can see this one is in the one bedroom, and then there's a Lunos ventilator above that window, and then in the other bedroom across the way. So those two kind of speak to each other. The closets here, so we were making use of the lower space. So you have half the closet is full height space, half of it is the lower, more like 5-ish foot space. And just want to point out that this clever configuration of the closet doors, this is a little bit bigger. This is the other bedroom. So you can see that there's 2 panels that open on the doors, and then there's a fixed kind of triangular space above. And we were able to do this mostly. I want to, it's kudos to Doug and his crew to being able to do a detail like this. And this goes back to that whole point of like having your team, your building team together early, because I've worked with some contractors who would not be able to do this. They would have been scratching their head. And in a very simple, quick conversation with Doug, like, oh yeah, we know what we could do. We could do this, we could do this. And it kind of came together. And it does require some skill and craftsmanship to be able to pull off a detail like this. And it's a little bit funky. But that was part of being embracing this idea of the vaulted roof and ceiling and having this lower space on the edge. We knew we would have some of these kind of unique details to work with. Doug, you want to add anything about those doors?
Yeah, no, it's just interesting to always do things like this. And every time we talk to our door supplier, I just told them to give me a standard height French door width on it, and we would adjust it on site. I don't think I could actually draw this up and give them the exact numbers for them to cut this the way we wanted to with the vaulting of the ceiling without doing it on site. It seems like the angles would always be like a tiny little bit off the degree. But the nice thing is on being a French door type of closet, when you open it, you get full access to your closet instead of one little door on one side, one little door on the other.
Yeah, so we don't have an open picture of this, but the door, the closet space is all connected across. So there's not like a wall dividing them in between. Then, oh, and then a little note here, the 2 bedrooms. So this is the one kid's bedroom, and then this is the other kid's bedroom. They are exactly the same size, like within 2 square feet. And that was something that we actually worked hard on because we wanted to make sure that the bedrooms, like, in terms of sibling rivalry, that there was no, one bedroom clearly bigger or better than the other. So there was a lot of effort in that. And so the only difference really in the bedrooms, they both have the little funny closet. And but one has this big window that you can see looking out to the backyard, and the other has this big dormer window. So they both get a big window with lots of light. And so that was intentional. And then looking at the bathroom, so I just want to point out another thing in the design process, like when you're making decisions, it's good to know like what the priorities are. In this case, there was intentionally not the desire to do like an ensuite bathroom, like the primary bedroom suite that you typically have, where there's the parents' bedroom and bathroom separated off, and then you have a hallway bathroom. And that would have been 2 whole bathrooms. And instead, having a family bathroom kind of conserves some resources and conserves on the budget, right? So 2 whole bathrooms is a lot more expensive than a single bathroom. And they already had another bathroom downstairs, so if they needed a little bit of overflow. So the desire here was to make a bathroom where all 4 of them could be in the bathroom at one time, and still have the privacy needs, everything addressed. So you have the toilet space here with the half wall and the door, and that's an obscured glass with a window. to get some natural light in there. And then the shower door also has obscured panel, and it's just a privacy panel that's midway on the glass, so you can see feet, but you can't see the personal areas of the body, and it's obscured enough that you can see that somebody's there but not actually see anything. You can just see a silhouette. So and then there are 2 sinks, so essentially everyone can be in the bathroom at the same time, even though that's probably not desirable. But for a busy family, with everyone with different schedules, this is really important. So there's also a window inside the shower, and that lets light in there as well. And I don't know, Jay and Elizabeth, do you want to add anything as far as how this actually functions?
It functions well. I mean, there's not much to add at that point. It really does. There's been very few points, if any points, where I feel like we haven't had access to the space we need.
Yeah, I guess a little detail I'll point out, since I'm thinking of it, is the mirrors. This is, instead of having, you can have mirrors that are hung on the wall, or you can have mirrors that are attached to the wall. In this case, the mirror frames actually, so this was assembled on site. It's not a pre-manufactured mirror, and so we ordered trim from the cabinet company so it matches, and then just framed it on site. And let's see.
I will add that we really like the light in the bathroom with the different windows. It feels like a light, airy space, and we really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and that was the reason for doing all this glass. I mean, it's frameless glass. It's a bit of a splurge if you think of it budget-wise, but it's also, it goes back to those priorities in terms of how you're making decisions in the design and what's important. And having light was actually one of the things that was important. And so the glass allows that light to come through to the rest of the bathroom. Let's see, going through here, is just going, looking at the back door again, out to the backyard. And that is another view of the backyard, the finish product. And now they get to enjoy that space on the back side. That decking is a Kebony decking. I forgot to mention that earlier this morning. And then that space, it's the size of a small room. So if you think of covered porches as being small rooms, you want space for furniture and people and things. And again, we could have taken this across the entire back of the house, but all the decisions in the design process was about containing things. How small can they be? What's the minimum, that makes it work? And and I think that, anyway, it translates to budget, right? So you're going to prioritize like the square footage and where you want to concentrate the part of the budget. And then we're going to jump now to the Matterport, and let's start at the beginning here. So I'm going to jump back downstairs, sorry. So this is now, you're coming in the front door. We're looking towards the front door and the living room. And I see a question about the square footage. And yes, we ended up at about, that was the final square footage. The original house was about not even 1,000 square feet. And then we added roughly 700 something square feet. So looking back to the backyard.
There's also a question in there about the Solatubes and how they can be used through attics.
The Solatubes, yes, that's where they go. Is like you can run them through the attic, and you can, those tubes, the kit comes with about a 4-foot length overall, but you can get them to go 20 feet. If you have a huge attic you need to go through, you can make them go 20 feet long to the tube. Obviously, the longer the tube length, it diminishes the light a little bit, but not that much. And so you can take them quite a good distance through an attic space, or if you wanted to just have it on an upper floor and take it through like a big wall corridor down to the first floor, you could do that too.
So I'm just going to keep walking us through the house. Upstairs. The bedrooms all got cork flooring. You can see here.
And we're seeing a question about the Lunos pair. So the master bedroom got a pair on its own. And then the second pair, and if you pause right here, Grace, you can see that little handle on the, or that dial switch on your right. That's actually the controller switch for the Lunos. So you can actually have them turn like various fan speeds or completely off. But there's a second pair, one in each bedroom. And so the air is then moving continuously between the two bedrooms. So we wanted to make sure that the door cut at the bottom of the door was not too low to the floor to allow enough air movement so it can flow between the rooms if the doors are shut.
Yeah, so these two, the two bedrooms, kids' bedrooms, are across from each other, and I'm panning back and forth so you can see how those Lunos pairs work.
And the other question on that is like the budget on those. They're much more affordable than a big HRV system because we don't run ducting throughout the whole house and you don't have a big, huge central unit. So each, you can get a single one that does the room by itself. So it actually will go in and out simultaneously for smaller rooms. But we found that these are very affordable for doing in homes because it doesn't require massive amount of ducting and changing of framing and pulling off stuff throughout the house to make them work. And you can add them easily to the house. They're actually a low voltage unit. So the power is taken to that switch that turns them on and off. And then it's just a single low voltage line that goes directly to each unit to control them.
So then do you have them in the living areas as well? And what about the bathroom and kitchen?
We don't have them in the bathrooms, and the kitchen is considered with the fan its own vent. We only did the upstairs with these, partially because like the downstairs, it was a little bit more naturally vented due to the old construction, and because we weren't sealing up the old part of the house 100% on the lower level. So you can put them in a bathroom. You can use the single unit in the bathroom. But a lot of times it's just considering when you have the external vent in the bathroom, that's enough to pull the bad air out of the bathroom. We find they're more critical in actual bedrooms because that's where you're sleeping all night, and that's where you actually need more of the fresher air throughout the time. And the rest of the living space on the main level, it's because it's a big open room with multiple doors and that you're opening and closing constantly, and the kitchen vent, it wasn't necessary to put on the lower level.
Yeah, and I want to add that, this is one of these things in remodels, right? You really have to decide which things are you going to do and where are you going to draw the line between, what you're going to touch on the existing house and what you're not. And so we prioritize the upstairs for the ventilation, knowing that there was already some exhaust ventilation. So you just want to remember on ventilation, there's kind of three main things that you want in your house in general. You want to exhaust air, stale air. You want to get in fresh air, and then you want to move air. So you want to, move air around. And so you want to hit on all three of those. And so, yes, ideally, we would have also probably a pair of these units downstairs. But because we did not open the ceiling in the space below, we had existing kitchen that we didn't want to, destroy in the process of remodeling. We were having to work around a lot of existing area. And so the choice was made that, we have already exhaust covered downstairs. We'll focus on but that is a good question. So continuing here, let's see, I mentioned the cork, radiant ceiling panel in the stair, you know, we added one over the landing because of the window there. You know, we have radiant heat in all the bedrooms, and and there is a ductless mini split in the living room, dining room downstairs, but we felt like this space, because of the window, could feel maybe a little chilly or something in the middle of winter. So this is sort of an additional piece that we added there. Let's see.
And the nice thing is with this heat system, each room, it's on its own thermostat. So you can control each room accordingly. And if it's super cold, like Grace was saying, during the winter, you can turn it on. But if it's one of those that you feel you never really ever need to use it, you leave it off. It's never used, and you're not ever spending any energy to heat a space if it's not necessary.
Let's see. I wanted to mention the marmoleum, the flooring here. So this originally was not part of the, you know, it's one of those things where we were hoping to keep it intact, but as the project progressed, we realized that we were not going to be able to match the existing marmoleum and have a seam that made sense. So the decision was made, and this was during construction, to go ahead and replace the marmoleum. I just wanted to point out, we mentioned this before, the existing flooring on the right going out to the deck. And then the laundry room, that's the old fir flooring. So that's like I think that's original to, you know, when the house was built. So, you know, being flexible is in terms of, you know, in a remodel project is a key thing. Being open to, you know, the fact that things might come up and you might have to roll with it, but identifying which things to. You know, we had looked at this and it was a maybe ? It wasn't an absolute, oh, we're going to just change it. And so we knew this was a maybe that was coming potentially on the floor. Let's see, let's go ahead and go wrap up here, and we can take some more questions if there are. So I guess some tips on your own remodel. The top 3 things, there's lots of tips that we can give, but basically your team, you want your design and build team together on board as early as possible, because well, there are lots of reasons for that, but you end up with a better product and better solutions and better process all the way around. I think everyone is happier all the way around. And you can also play to the construction crew's strengths. And like we were mentioning with the closet doors, you know, a detail like that, you know, not every crew can actually pull off something like that easily without a lot of head scratching. And in this case, that was doable. Or piecing the flooring together and making that work. So a lot of times you can kind of gear, you know, your design solutions towards, you know, what the strengths of that team, the construction team is. And then priorities and decision making, like know how you make decisions. And, you know, the more linear you can be and less circling back, the better, and allow time for decisions to percolate. And know that, you know, sometimes a lot of people spend time circling around in the process, and it's because they'll make a very quick decision, knee-jerk decision, and then go, oh, actually, you know, maybe let's revisit that. And that can take a long time. So sometimes allowing some time to make the decisions is good, and be very clear on your priorities. In this case, you know, Elizabeth and Jay, they referenced back to that, you know, the goals at the beginning, because you can start going, wow, okay, well, let's make this bigger, and then we could do this, and then we can do this. And you realize just because you can doesn't mean you should. And so going back to what are we trying to achieve here is helpful, and that keeps the scope in check. And then communication, you know, being able to openly communicate amongst all of your project team is really key. Being comfortable to talk about, the needs in your toilet space, or those kinds of things. Your house is a personal space. So my recommendation is always to, your project team are people that you very much, you trust, and you very much can talk about any specific detail that, it's in your personal space. And then we're just calling out on the slides some of the suppliers. They also are guild members. And so the infrared heat, the ceiling panels, and the Cove heaters came from Mighty Energy. I think somebody earlier asked the question about the manufacturer, and the ceiling panels are Ducoterra. But if you go to Mighty Energy's website, you'll see the products on there. And the Cork Flooring came from Green Home Solutions. The marmoleum, did we get the marmoleum from there too? I don't remember.
No, we did not get them.
Okay, I didn't think so. Done lumber, supplied lumber, and marmoleum, just in case anyone's new to the linoleum flooring. I think on the Green Home Tour website, that site page, we have a little blurb about it, but natural linoleum is different than other sheet flooring that often might be a vinyl based flooring. So marmoleum is a brand, and it's a really common, popular brand, and one that I go to a lot, but it is generically called natural linoleum. And that basically sums it up. Unless you all, Jay, Elizabeth, you all want to add anything?
I wanted to add that in the upstairs bathroom, we used, I think, Ceasarstone for the countertops, which we really like that product for the bathroom. It's been great for the counter there.
Yeah, and that's a quartz product, and it's so highly durable. I mean, it's almost destructo proof. It's not entirely. You can chip it, it turns out, but it is very, very durable. Yeah, so Jay and Elizabeth, you all have any last thoughts?
I think it's just a compliment and a thank you. I think you acknowledge the having a good team, but also having the communication. My profession is all about process improvement and project management and stuff. And so it was fun to have 3 teams, really, if you include us and the 2 of you, all with our expertise or requirement sets, working through a big project and coming together to a really good solution. So I think it was fun working with you all, and I think we did well. So thanks.
Yeah, well, thank you, Jane Elizabeth, because it was a joy to work with you on this project. You're a very, very comfortable and easy people to work with on this, and so it made it enjoyable to do the whole process.
Well, thank you. It's been so fun to just be back and just to have the extra space and the flexibility to oh, which closet shall we put this thing in? Instead of shoving everything in the one hallway or the entryway closet, and our bedroom closet was the storage area. It's been really lovely, and just have all the light coming in to the house has been so lovely. You can see behind us the light coming from the 2 back doors all the way to our kitchen table where we're sitting right now. It's been really lovely. So